people in this country, well, it makes sense why we all crazy as hell. Because you lying to everybody. White folks, black folks, everybody's being lied to and conditioned and made into zombies. Like, this is what you, man, brother, I had a very big problem in school. I can just tell you that.
How were you able to circumvent the gang culture in Compton? Were you able to?
No, that's what I was saying. I actually, it's certain things you can get around and away from. And then there's certain things you have to go through no matter what. You can try to get around it if you want to. I'll say it this way. I learned how to crip walk at 5. I was being applauded for crip walking at 5 and 6 and 7. My brothers was, laughing, cheering me on, and, my siblings and all of their friends. I smoked weed between the age of 8 and 9, maybe 9.5 is when I quit. All that. Yeah, go ahead and take a sip on that.
Well, I guess you knew where you wanted to go in life.
Hey, man, look, I'm telling you, a lot of stuff I was introduced to early. Very early, man. I mean, I was introduced to the idea of sex around, 7 or 8? That's when pornography was on VHS tapes. I was introduced that way. Fighting and, having my brothers make me fight my own friends so that I could learn how to fight. All this stuff before I was a preteen, before I was 11 years old. All this stuff. So the gang banging, really, I wasn't a gang banger because, one, I was too young, but there were certain parts of the culture that I was introduced to, came in contact with slightly. I wouldn't even lie to try to exaggerate. I only had slight touches with certain things. One of my brothers taught me how to hot wire cars. First car I learned how to hot wire was my mama's car. Sorry, Mama, if you're watching this. I don't know if I ever told you that. But first one, man, and then the second one. So G-rides, we used to go on those. Hubcaps. My brothers used to send me on missions. Go take the hubcaps off of this car on this house, and go take that and go hop in this window, go get that. It's just little things. I done did all that stealing, all that. I got banned from the liquor store down the street off of Alondra. They put my picture up on the wall.
Oh, wow.
Okay, this is when I was about 10.
You Compton's most wanted for real.
Man, look, I'm telling you.
Real life.
I got my little baby, criminal record, in the industry. But they put my face up on the wall and they said, do not let this child in here. I remember that because I went in there, tried to steal some little juices. What was it? It was some juices, some hot Cheetos. This is before they were called Flamin' Hot Cheetos. They were hot Cheetos and some other stuff, man. I think I tried to steal one of them pickles in the Ziploc bag. They had some of that, and I had it in the hoodie. And I tried to get out real quick, and then they stopped me, and they shook my shirt, and all this stuff came out, and they was like, get out of here, and they put it up there, and that's when people knew who your mama was, knew who your auntie was, your father, they knew. So they put my face up there, and I couldn't go to that store no more. Man, yeah, I had a little pieces of it, but I was never never carried a gun, none of that kind of stuff.
What was in you that made you not go down that route? Because it seemed like a natural transition when you were already fighting and, I guess part-time banging or whatever. You're stealing out the stores and stuff like that. I mean, it seemed like a natural progression, because oftentimes, we are who we are by conditioning.
Right, that's fact.
So if you grew up in a certain type of environment and that's what's happening in that environment, you kind of get acclimated.
Very true.
What made you decide that this is not going to be my life?
I can tell you, to be honest, it was when my mother and I moved from Compton. My stepfather had gone to jail. My older brother had been taken to jail. My oldest brother was killed by one of his friends. And then my oldest sister, she was on drugs. All these different things happened. So the family, piece by piece, was taken apart. And then at a certain point, it was just me and my mother. And we moved from Compton. We lived with my aunt for a certain period of time. Then we lived with my mother's friend for a certain period of time in another city. And then we moved to another city. I believe it was Paramount at that time. We lived there for a number of years, and I was brought to a literacy program. It was an after-school social betterment program that she was working at, and she had me go there so that I can get help on my homework, get out the environment a little bit and get some mentorship, you could say. And again, that's me coming fresh up out of the environment. So I'm thinking it's cool. You know, I had a real bad cursing problem, horrible stuttering problem. So I used to be cursing at people thinking that's funny. You know, I was a little class clown. That was me. Now I was a little bad, loudmouth, little, get that nigga. I was that one. Okay. Like I didn't care who you was. I would curse you out real quick. That was me. Terrible mouth. Now going through this program, that's what helped me. Getting help on my homework, my math, my reading, and not being in the environment like that anymore on a consistent basis. I had to progress. I had no choice because I was put around other people who were working on themselves, working on their reading, working on their homework, working on communication skills, all these different things. So it was being taken out of the environment. I was still in Compton, but I wasn't living there. We were living in Paramount, and I was going to a program in Compton. So that's, I would say, what helped to change it, and being given those tools, being given those principles and those morals, because I was in the mosque from when I was a child up until maybe 6 or 7. So I wasn't in the mosque after that for years after. So I wasn't around the brotherhood. I wasn't around the sisters. I wasn't, around, the nation like that at that point. So now I'm at this program, but I'm still getting some good things, some morals and some principles, etc. And that is what helped me to progress until came back full circle back to the mosque and became heavily active. So it was that kind of progress.
Okay, so I get the educational progress.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you go from stuttering to rapid speed speaking?
Yes, sir.
You're one of the fastest in the game, man.
Yes,
how
sir.
do you do it?
Oh, man. Practice. When I was in that program, not only was I in the program as a student, I transitioned from being a student to a tutor. Then from a tutor to an instructor. Then an instructor, I graduated. So I'm helping my people now. So now when you get to that point, and you know how it is, when it's rapping, when it's rhyming, you got to write things, you got to practice, you got to flow. It's an evolutionary process that you go through. That's what I had to go through in stages and degrees. So I was forced to go from learning, getting up out of this way I was behaving, to now learning how to control myself, to then now I got to teach somebody else. Oh yeah, man. It took all of that, and it was at a young age.
When you're speaking fast, do you sometimes say, man, I'm going to say as many words as I can, and I'm going to say it under 1 minute?
You know what? Okay, that's funny. I started saying that when I started getting on Instagram. I got on Instagram mid-2017, but when I noticed they only gave you 60 seconds at that time. There was no 15 minutes, there was no 10 minutes, there was none of that. It was just 60 seconds for a video. And I was like, man, this is after me being years of educating. I'm like, damn, how can I educate people on a topic in 1 minute? I was like, how y'all gonna give people 1 minute to do it? I was like, all right, I'm gonna see how I can do this real quick. And I was used to talk fast, etc. So I said, let me go ahead and pack as many words, just like you said. That's when I started getting to that point.
Right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You grew up in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point, somebody put a claim out there about you being associated with the Church of Scientology.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How did that happen?
Oh, yeah, because I studied in my progress, because going from the nation, I went into, now this is where my godfather comes in, Christian church, Baptist minister. So I'm going from learning about the Quran, praying in Arabic 5 times a day. Now I'm in the Christian church, True Faith Christian Center. So Baptist minister. So I'm studying the Bible and all of that. And then through that, the learning skills, there's something called study technology that was in tons of schools all across the country. And it was teaching me the barriers to study, learning how to look up words, learning how to not skip over things before going in certain levels. You have to go step by step. Don't skip things, because there's a lot of things you'll miss, and then you won't be able to understand what is on the next step. So you have to go back where you were doing well and then continue from there. Then the other part of it is having an idea of the real thing, rather than just talking. A lot of people just talk and use words, but a lot of times people can't conceptualize what you're talking about. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what it sounds like. What are you talking about? So you have to give them a real life example, a picture, a video, something, or go show it to them. This is what I'm talking about. So then now they have it in their mind. Now it's not blank. Okay, I got it. These are different components of study skills. Those study skills is called the study technology. That was written by L. Ron Hubbard. Okay, that's not religious, but that is something that I was introduced to. That helped me tremendously when it came to me learning and studying. Again, it's in schools all over the world. So that's that. And then in my growth in the Christian church, Baptist Minister Church with my father, I'm studying that. And then I'm learning other things. So now I'm learning Islam. So I have that as a foundation. Christianity as well. Then I'm learning other things. I have family who are Buddhists. So I'm learning some of that. I have family who went into the Catholic Church. I found that interesting. Okay, I'm learning some of that. So my thirst, as you asked earlier, when did you get this thirst for knowledge? It is when I started to progress in looking at how to study and seeing the results of learning how to study properly. My memory increased, my ability to not regurgitate, but to apply the information and to spit it out in a way where it makes perfect sense and connect things. And I was really impressed, but very thankful. So I said, I need to gain more knowledge. I'm not going to put a cap on my knowledge here. So whatever I want to study, that's what I'm going to study. So I'm learning these different things. Then I had some friends who were like, oh, yeah, man, I study Scientology. I'm like, what the hell is Scientology? That's a religion of science? Is that what that is? He's like, no, that would be scienceology. No, Scientology means the study of knowledge or the study of knowing how to know. I was like, okay,
that sounds like something I want to know.
Oh, man, bro, that's dope. I'm like, okay, let me just check it out. And again, there's a lot of stigmas around this because most people don't know what the hell it is. But I wanted to know, okay, what is that? So again, you have Islam, Christianity. Again, I'm learning some Buddhism, some Catholicism. Okay, now here's Scientology. So again, you got people gonna have problems with any one of these. There's somebody who's gonna hate one or all. Fine. So now I'm studying that. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm learning this. Oh, okay. Okay, that came from this. That came from black folks. Oh yeah, okay. I read that in Islam. Oh yeah, I studied that in Christianity. These are things I'm thinking about and saying in my mind when I'm reading some of these books that L. Ron Hubbard wrote. I'm like, oh, I can connect that with other areas of knowledge because I learned that here. Oh yeah, that comes from African spirituality. Oh, that comes from ancient Kemetic science. I mean, I'm able to connect all this. So that was on my own years before people even heard about that. I mean, I started learning about Scientology, man, when I was like 16. So this is long before people even started going crazy about it. Then after that, again, now it's full circle and I'm back in the nation. And now I'm heavily active. So I have been studying different religious philosophies, different sciences, different everything. So that's why when people meet me, they be like, how do you know all this? Blah? Because first of all, I'm not afraid to learn. That's the other problem that a lot of people have. You're afraid to learn because of what people will think of you. That's one. Or because you feel it's going to shake the foundation of what you feel you already know. You're not certain about who you are. And because of that, you think I'm going to learn something and it's going to destroy my foundation. Am I not black? I'm a black